Huh. I look a little bit different in these photos. I wonder what would happen if I... Huh. New look. Not bad. Mask is a little loose though. I wonder if I can take it off now. Okay. Yeah, let's not do that again. Or at least let's do it conservatively. Anyway, the group was huge to start with, but the Dungeon Master made the choice to split the group and run 2 games in the same world. One group was more good aligned, and the second group formed more evil leaning. I had asked if I could play both games, and was told yes, so I rolled up a character for the evil game, and we were off to the races. I don't remember everyone involved, but the problem was our wild magic mage. It was a long time ago now. He had asked the Dungeon Master if he could use a custom wild magic table he found, or made. The DM had cleared it without checking it over first. The RPG horror story tradition of strapping TNT to your balls and being surprised when it blows up. Yeah, during our first combat as this new group, he rolls for this wild magic effect, and he summons 15 dire crocodiles. We were level 3 or 4 at the time, so they go mad and proceed to wreck everyone on ground level. There's too many of them. How are we supposed to stop them? Don't worry. Our fools know not the limits of my power. I summon forth the might of Florida! Wait, doesn't Florida have alligators? Not crocodiles? Oh, right, yeah. That's a good point. But, I mean, it has some crocodiles, right? Yeah, I guess so. A lot of people mix them. Oh my... No, Jeremy. Every enemy and all but 2 party members were destroyed. That session ended right there as the Dungeon Master figured out how to keep the campaign from ending. A horrible story, but a moral to be had. DMs, check up on any outside materials your players ask to use in your games. It could just blow up your game if you don't. Seriously guys, I think this is just basic practice for DMs at this point. You should not be allowing unsolicited homebrew into your games without checking it. Like I said, if you do, it's like strapping TNT to your dick and being surprised when it blows up in your face. Stop doing that, guys. It's unhealthy. To make a long story short, I've been a part of a West Marches server for a little over a year, and I've been loving it from start to finish. However, we were hit pretty hard by a character death about 2 weeks ago, and it hit me pretty hard because that character was my character's ex, and they had just recently put their bitterness behind them. For the sake of simplicity, we'll call the character who died Alpha, which... God, that word has just been ruined. Freaking... I think I'm more upset for that character's player because he was flagged for permadeath for reasons I felt were completely arbitrary. Basically, there's a school of magic that exists in the setting that was developed by some incredibly powerful precursor race, and players were able to learn some of this magic with enough time and effort, saving up points and such. The catch was that if players chose to learn this magic, they had a target on their back and risked permadeath for dabbling into forbidden magic. It's a concise risk-reward system. What bothers me, and has bothered me since Alpha's player told me about it, was that Alpha was able to access this incredibly powerful forbidden magic, and therefore was flagged for permadeath, because my character convinced Alpha to accept a sketchy injection during a jokey joke session. The DM who ran the session was known for running these fun, silly, kooky magic bar settings that don't usually have much impact on the characters outside of a few, hey, remember when X happened? At the time, I thought it was going to be something funny. Prank went about as wrong as pranks can go, man. God, what'd you put in this? Gotcha. You're the worst.
Meanwhile...
Yep. I got the call. Target's on a school campus. Heard you drank the Kool-Aid. Not true? Yeah, well, kid's got no idea what's coming for him. I never miss my work. Nothing personal. Oh, hey, you missed. I have felt bad about it since I was told I was the reason this all happened. skip ahead to what happens post Alpha's character death. Since this was a West Marches game, there were multiple dungeon masters, and one of the players convinced the DMs to let us bring Alpha back from permadeath. We'll call this character Charlie. From what I've managed to piece together, Charlie was told by the 2 DMs who approved if the revival happened that Alpha could be brought back to life if Charlie gave up their ability to cast Wish, along with the super forbidden precursor spells they had actually gone out of their way to obtain. Okay, can someone explain to me what these super precursor spells are? When the ability to alter reality with a word is like the side thing. Mr. X, you got me on that? There is some tension since Charlie attempted the ritual completely by themselves, but the player who had been available at the time managed to get there in time to salvage the ritual and bring Alpha back to life, with the consequence that Alpha would no longer be able to feel emotions. It stung like hell, but I was willing to accept this decision at first since I thought it was a unanimous decision, agreed upon by all Dungeon Masters, and that the consequence was accepted by Alpha's player. But here's the rub. I later learned from Alpha's player that he hadn't even been given a choice as to what would happen to his character post-resurrection, and that he would have gladly given up Alpha's ability to cast magic, a big deal for a high-level wizard, and just retire the guy. One of, if not both of the DMs overseeing this mini-event decided, seemingly at the very last minute with no input or communication from the other members of the DM team. I learned just the other night that not even the DM that owns the server knew about any of this until after the fact, to drastically change the personal consequences Alpha and Charlie would have to pay in order to get this character back. It felt like a gotcha more than a consequence that could have been avoided if Charlie's character had just exercised a bit more caution. Charlie's player feels horrible because Alpha's current state has emotionally devastated several characters when that was the last thing they wanted. Alpha's player says he's more concerned about how this is being handled by everyone, player and DM alike, but he's told me he's just not having fun playing Alpha as the emotionless husk of a man he used to be. Yep, dude got brand starked hard.
He's coming for us. For all of us.
Or like, how are you supposed to have fun like this? It's unbelievable. I feel upset and frustrated for both of them because, like I said, this feels like a gotcha moment from the 2 DMs who started this fustercluck, amazing, this fustercluck of poor communication and complete disregard for player agency. They've agreed to fix it, but only after several player complaints, and honestly, the whole thing has left a bad taste in my mouth. Hey, we just made a video about gotcha moment that happened in Critical Role Campaign 3, and that moment shows me that even in good D&D campaigns run by very talented dungeon masters, stupid stuff can happen. Like, sometimes you get an idea in your head for something that could be compelling, and in theory, it's a great idea. Like here, the tragedy of bringing someone back to life and having the emotional consequence of losing their personality. That's tragic. But would that actually be fun for the players to experience? Probably not, especially if it doesn't feel earned. I mean, this guy literally gave up Wish and a bunch of even better spells, which I don't even know what that looks like, but gave up a bunch of high-level magic just to do this, and can't even get the guy's personality to come back in his body? It just feels cheap. And yeah, I think it's perfectly reasonable for you to have bad taste, even if otherwise this is a good game. I used to play D&D with this group in person when they were at Dark Tower Gaming, a local game shop. Strangely, in person, I never encountered anything to do with the LGBTQ, etc. We played Dungeons & Dragons and had fun together and everything was fine. But then, they transitioned to online because the previous shop owner had made an anti-trans post on Facebook. The D&D group decided to cut ties and move to online. I thought that their decision was BS, abandoning a store just because of their morale beliefs, and that is crap. So I decided to stop playing with them. I share some of the same beliefs as the store owner. I do not advocate for violence or anything. I specifically told them this when I attempted to reconnect with them today. They said that because I have similar beliefs, aka I am a Christian, then I will remain permanently banned. I looked it up and after 5 seconds of searching found a similar post describing the same situation. Okay, what did the owner say? Let's just check on. We want our kids safe from LGBTQ indoctrination.
We thought you were like us, that you could argue and make gains and lose some ground, but everything staying fair and level-headed. But boy, we were wrong. You were pushing. So now we push back. We're going to push back on the LGBTQ agenda. We're going to make your lives miserable when you try to get our kids to question their gender. We're going to remove the power you think you have and put it in the hands of...
Oh my god, man, this guy went off the deep end. This isn't the standard deep end that you see in like your average YouTube comment section. This is the kind of deep end where I'm thinking, oh my god, this guy might actually hurt someone kind of deep end. Whew. Wonder how his store is... Whoa. Huh, Oh, they got replaced. Aegis Games. It looks like someone else took over. Oh, well. They have very positive reviews, and wow, they are really trying to stay away from what this dude said. Well, best of luck to him. Anyway, back to the Psycho Redditor.
I quote, "Our reason for cutting ties has not changed, nor will it ever change. We will continue to prioritize the safety of our community and practice harm reduction for people with marginalized identities, which includes disinviting people with bigoted views. Those are our morals. I encourage everyone who sees this to not affiliate yourself with such bigoted people. Lol. You may think, you hypocrite, lol. This has nothing to do with them being LGBTQ. I don't care what they are or practice in their lives. But when they ban people, my people who feel as I do for no reason.
I mean, there's a reason. The reason is right there.
They disinvited us for no reason. They've not done anything wrong. I didn't attack anyone. I didn't harm anyone. I didn't do anything. Only stated that I agreed with parts of what that guy said. They're calling me transphobic. They're calling me a bigot, etc. I explicitly stated in my post that I do not want to or believe in harming anyone, and that I generally don't even talk about IRL stuff in-game. I'm not going to attack someone or harm them because they're LGBTQ, lol. Please explain to me how my presence in their games is harmful. I played for years in person, and they never knew my views, lol. No one did mention of trans Sonic? Yo, Sonic came out? Dude, we love that for Sonic. Good on them. Heck yeah. You know, I wonder how Chris Chan feels about Oh. Okay, never mind. I never once mentioned trans Sonic or anti-LGBTQ or anything to do with that coming up. What's ironic is, they are the bigots. They hold so strongly to their LGBTQ identities. And if you, even so much as slightly, lean away from their ideals, you are a horrible person. They are trans extremists. Any last words? Yeah. Yours, not mine. So, what you got to say? This isn't fair! Dude, what are you talking about? I feel like I won this fair and square. You can't hurt me! It's not allowed! You just attacked me for no discernible reason at all! I feel like you're advocating for rights for thee and not for me. Well, I mean, yeah, that's basically exactly what I believe. I believe you shouldn't have any rights, and that I should have rights. That's what I believe, so yeah, checks out actually. Oh yeah, good point. I guess that is what you want. Well, since we agree on that, can we be friends now? Yeah, no. I'm a Christian. I'm not going to use your pronouns. I'll tell you the truth and bring you back to reality. The Bible says to speak the truth. So tell me, your demand I call you something you're not is discriminatory against my rights to practice my religion.
Romans 15:7 says, and I quote,
"Don't be a dick."
Oh no, do you pay attention to that too?
Anything I missed? I don't believe in the harm of anyone. I don't believe in the discrimination of anyone. I see people as people, not part of a certain group. I judge people in my lie based upon their actions and character. Definition of a bigot: a person who is obstinately or unreasonably attached to a belief, opinion, or faction, especially one that is prejudiced against or antagonistic towards a person or people on the basis of their membership of a particular group.
It's almost a self-aware wolf. Look, the premise that someone's right to discriminate against others needs to be protected because otherwise it would be discrimination is a line of hypocrisy so ridiculous that anyone who believes in it is unreasonable enough to never be convinced otherwise. This is not a troll, by the way, and don't bother looking for the Reddit account where this came from. It has since been annihilated from existence, which is for the best. Leave this guy alone. But the truth is that a lot of these people do exist in the tabletop role-playing game space. I gotta deal with them sometimes myself as somebody who's pretty outwardly queer. It sucks, but at the end of the day, what's weird is this is such an inviting place the vast majority of time. So when something like this does pop up, it does feel like an alien presence that you almost don't know how to deal with. But this guy's group dealt with it in a pretty normal way. A swift kick to the curb, because someone who's this attached to discriminating against others, someone who thinks it's a fundamental part of their identity to do so, not someone you want to keep around for long. Hiya, Crispy. I'm a fan of your horror story series. They're a nice thing to listen to once in a while, and I also hope this email finds you well. I'm not a big Dungeons & Dragons kind of player, but I am a big Vampire the Masquerade player. I don't know if you know about Vampire, but it's not needed for the story. This is when I had my first Vampire the Masquerade tabletop experience, and before all my LARP and stuff. I went to a Discord and found a guy, we'll call him Jack, I guess, who was looking for some players. I decided to give it a shot, and he made me fill out a roleplay consent form, and we were off to the races. It was myself and 5 other people, a pretty big party, but it's okay. Look, with some of you guys presenting me like 12-person frickin' parties, 5 seems really reasonable. Or 6, I guess. Anyway, when I was getting the ball rolling with my character, I was trying to explain to Jack how I wanted to make an older vampire, because I like the idea of a girl who was working in the underground bar ring in the 1920s. I was getting no response, and being experienced, I was asking my fellow courtiers, aka party members, if they had any ideas. They had no ideas, but one of the players DM'd me, we'll call him Fly. Fly said Jack wanted everyone to be at the same social class level as everyone else, so I might have to ditch the 1920s idea. I also couldn't be the race I wanted to be because it was too dangerous and wouldn't align well. Fly was starting to drop some red flags, so I asked, are you friends with Jack or something? Are you like co-storytelling? This response was completely dodged with more crap to completely change my character away from the initial concept. The original idea was a tomboy barkeep from the 1920s who worked with Al Capone to something completely different. I don't know what he was initially proposing, but when I told Fly I wasn't comfortable with doing a 180 on the character, he just kept saying it wouldn't work and dodged my questions and compromises. Whatever Fly was doing scared me off so quickly, I DM'd the actual DM, Jack, and told him I didn't think I want to do this anymore because his co-storyteller was saying he wouldn't like my character and wouldn't work with the group, so I'm gonna head out. Jack quickly responds with, what? I just said you couldn't be this race and wanted to ask if we could make some slight adjustments. Who told you all this? I sent him the screen caps of what Fly said, and Jack said, I'm kicking him out. He's been trying to co-DM and I'm not doing it. Bro thinks he's Littlefinger, but he's actually Joffrey. Has zero subtlety for deception. In the end, we had an awesome game with my boomer barkeep vampire girl, who I still play with in other vampire games to this day. TLDR, I go to a vampire game, totally the co-DM says character wouldn't work, gets spooked by this guy demanding I 180 my character, and fake co-DM gets booted by the actual DM. A well-deserved fate for a fool such as this. I personally have never understood the concept of co-DMing. Whenever I've seen it live, it doesn't really vibe with me, and I have no idea how to work it into my own games, but hey, if it works for you, that's great. However, trying to force a DM to co-DM with you, not gonna work out for you at all. And then even worse, trying to make it happen behind the scenes without the DM's consent. I mean, what's even the plan long term? The DM's gonna find out eventually. People have this habit of doing this thing called conversating, and eventually this kind of shenanigan comes up in conversation. I mean, the long-term plan is just get caught, I guess. Well, anyway, glad your game of Vampire is working out for you, man. I'm going to start the story with the context that I'm 28 male, literally the definition of the forever dungeon master. I've played D&D since I was 12, and my mom introduced me to it and bought me the 3.5 Player's Handbook for my birthday that year, since I loved fantasy video games and stories. Ever since, I played as a player for the first 2 years and I've been the DM for almost every D&D game since then. Fast forward to around a little after the pandemic, I've already been running games weekly non-stop since it started. Because, well, there wasn't all that much else to do. This did have a major side effect of DM burnout. I thought I knew how to avoid it by now by playing D&D non-stop online and constantly thinking about it, not even getting small breaks in between campaigns though, and it took its toll on me. I love the game, I just wish I didn't have to be the dungeon master for a change. This is around when my wife, 27 female, got the idea to try and surprise me. She first convinced me just to take a break from DMing, which I did, and then later told me that she found us a game on Roll20 to play in together. Bro, I swear, the story better not end with you two breaking up or something, because this sounds like W-wifing. Good stuff. Get you a girl who can find you D&D games. I was actually excited about this, even though we both played D&D and we never got the chance to play together. We even invited our friend, who for this story, we will call Kate, obviously not her real name. She is a woman in her early 20s from Texas and rather young sounding. This, regrettably, does have importance to the story. We soon then joined the Discord server with the Dungeon Master of the campaign. When we all joined, we soon learned that we won't be the only group playing in this campaign, as he designed the world to be a sandbox and was running the game with 2 separate, equally important parties who would be going through it. Actions in their game would affect ours and vice versa, that kind of deal. I won't really be naming the other parties since really, they're not all that relevant. Now, we learned this not through Session 0, but just over a casual Discord chat. We didn't really have a Session 0, which should have been my first red flag, since we've always done a Session 0 at my table. Remember what I said, guys? Every time you don't have a Session 0... Hey, we filming a video today? Yep, we're getting ready for filming. What is... You did that. This is on you. Just have a Session 0. But since I'm always playing as the Dungeon Master, I never really knew what was considered normal at other tables, so I just shrugged the lack of Session 0 off. We built our characters, and there was me, the Dragonborn, Oath of the Crown Paladin, my wife playing the Kobold Soul Knife Rogue, and Kate playing the Satyr Fey Wanderer Ranger. When Session 1 starts, the Dungeon Master tells us the world is a dangerous place, where death is very likely if we aren't careful. I thought to myself, dope, I can flex my rules knowledge a bit then. The first quest had us go to an adventurer's guild and put into teams. The guild was recruiting massive amounts of new adventurers to clear out dungeons in waves, split apart by power scale? Power scale? Like in universe? Does everyone just have like a little number floating over their head? The weakest ones clearing the front, followed by the next groups after clearing the first floor and the second, and so on and so forth. This was done so this way the real heroes that had the power to stop whatever was in this dungeon didn't have to waste their energy. This plan was extremely strange to me, as if the super awesome heroes were so strong, why would they need us to be doing this for them? Our party was apparently in the first floor dungeon group, so the second wave headed in to clear that section, and I couldn't help but think, if this place is so easy level 1s could clear with no effort, why can't the big hitters just wave a finger and blast everyone in here? Boy, we faced quite the beast. But, you're gonna fight it by yourself. I'm not gonna do anything. I know I'm perfectly capable of doing it, but I have other things to attend to, boy. Like what? Well... Once they returned and we talked to them again, we all picked up on the fact that the NPCs were pretty flirty to all of the player characters. This was kind of odd, at least for me and my wife, since we told the Dungeon Master we planned on shipping our characters ahead of time as a gradual build-up for the story. The session ends, Kate heads to bed, and me and my wife decide to just chill and voice call with him and just talk a bit while I play World of Warcraft and vibe. While we're talking about D&D stuff, the Dungeon Master randomly just asks us, "Was Kate coming on to me? Her voice just purposely sounds so sensual and sultry, and she kept calling me hun." Not word for word, but said something along those lines. Keep in mind, Kate is Southern. She's from Southern Texas. She uses Southern slang a lot, and her voice is rather high-pitched and young-sounding, while the word hun is like saying dude to them. Hey, you know, I kind of get it. I mean, Rogue got Magneto down so bad that the man was willing to ignore like a 50-year age gap. I mean, come on, that was crazy. Yet we explained to the DM that no, Kate was not flirting with you. That's just how she talks. He left the call shortly after that. Session 2, we didn't get any better, and things started going downhill as he introduced a person that's just meant to be the villain. We wake up from our rooms in the guild and meet with what can only be known as the Man in Red, who was a real piece of work. He told us before the session started that the bad guy would be extremely bad. We found him trying to flirt with the counter lady that ran the guild's front desk, being extremely sexual in his speech. When we came to defend the clerk, he then turns to us and started to insult us. As a prideful paladin, I cast command on him using the word grovel, forcing him to kneel to me. This pissed the Man in Red off, and since I was readily able to clap back in each of his insults on talking back, the Man in Red suddenly snapped at my wife's character instead, telling her character how female kobolds are only good for fleshy boning toys with no worth other than to be bred. Man went off the deep end. My character just took hers and we left, taking the nope, screw that approach to dealing with a comment like that and just leaving the area. A little while later, wife's kobold was starting to feel tired, as she refused to sleep the night prior because she was practicing her soul knife abilities, so she took a point of exhaustion. My character went to carry her around when he found that out so she could rest and sleep while my and Kate's characters got our quest stuff done. We ended up heading into a store, and the shopkeeper suggested putting her in like a carry-on or something instead of just giving her a piggyback. Logically, I thought, yeah, that would make things easier. So I told them I was looking for a sling to put my wife in a makeshift hammock or something to hang off my back, only for the shopkeeper to hand me a papoose? Those baby cradles you strap on yourself so the baby can wiggle around and use their arms while you're... What is that? Oh, that thing! That's what it's called? I always called it the baby sling. I tried to find something else, but apparently the papoose was the only option I had if I wanted to go that route. Though, it made us kind of uncomfortable as it painted her character like a baby. That's when things got even worse, as each of the NPCs started treating my wife's character as a baby, or some sort of child, having people question if she was my character's daughter. This put a sour taste in our mouths as we explicitly told the DM we were planning on having a romance. So now, each romantic scene we try to do was then painted with NPCs coding my character as some kind of diddler, even though she was 4 feet tall and a fully grown adult kobold. Just because you're short doesn't make your character a child. Bro, as a dude who is very short, trust me, a lot of people are just gonna think you're a child anyway. I still don't know why we stuck around that game, but we did for at least 3 more sessions, each one getting worse and worse than the last, with the super badass hero characters constantly flirting with one of the 3 player characters, though we and our characters didn't want it. Constant insults thrown at my character and comments and remarks made towards Kate and my wife's characters by the man in red, so on and so forth. This all came to a head when the last session we played with him, we dug up a corrupted celestial creature who was described to have the body of a child no older than 7, chained up and bound from head to toe, showing us an image to let us see what he was describing. And I'm not kidding, it was I can't say that out loud, but look at the screen. It was that kind of character in a provocative pose. The call went dead quiet, just dead quiet, for a whole minute. My natural coping reflex in awkward moments is to break the tension by telling a joke, so I quote the FBI open up meme. I even banged on my desk for the sound and everything. I was immediately scolded by the Dungeon Master with, "Come on, man, don't make it weird." Man, the ship dropped anchor, raised the sails, and went halfway across the world. Then sank off the coast of Japan. That ship sailed. It sailed! We tried laughing it off and just get to the end of the session where the man in red was revealed to not be a piece of crap, but instead, he was some sort of super demon monster with a skull face who beats our butts in an alley, and said more creepy things about my wife's character. I won't write them here, but he cast Dominate Person on Kate's character to force them to skin their baby fox pet companion. Luckily, she passed her wisdom save. He relented and the baby fox was indeed saved. We left the game after that, though. We all realized, after leaving and talking in private chat later, that he was being antagonistic to me as I was the only male player, and his weird thing was something he was trying to push on us, and generally was being creepy when we were able to use some hindsight. Hindsight being 2020 and all that. The cherry on top of all of it, though, was that in that private call, Kate admitted something to me and my wife. From what she told us, there were calls where the Dungeon Master would pull Kate into private voice chats to info dump his personal attractions to her, then asking her directly about why she talks sultry and what her personal things are, which she would just awkwardly shrug and say, "I don't know, man." Literally, like, what else are you supposed to say? And a week later, he found our personal friend Discord server, somehow got invited to it, and sent us all messages basically calling us mean that we left without warning. Anyway, moral of the story, don't play with a DM who thinks someone using a southern slang means they're being flirty. Always have a session 0, and don't tolerate BS flirting and comments from NPCs just because it's the Dungeon Master. It's not personal. Yeah, this sucks. Some people are so desperate for a relationship, they will take any sign that somebody is into them, including just the general manner in which they speak. Somebody speaking in southern accent does not mean they are attracted to you. I'm pretty sure most of you are already well aware of that. This DM clearly has a lot of problems, but most notably a problem of overconfidence, lording over these players, infantilizing the wife's character, talking down to the OP's character, and flirting with Kate's character. All of that combined looks like a DM who just thinks way too highly of themselves. There's no problem with being confident, but being so confident that you think you can control people like this and think that these people are going to be just okay with it, yeah, that's not good. Says a lot about this guy that he didn't even realize what he did wrong when all these people just up and left. Hey, that's a wrap. Hope you guys like our new look. It feels really nice to take off the mask every now and then. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed, then you're probably going to enjoy our previous episode on a crazy pick-me girl. That episode is going crazy right now. You guys are loving it, so it's linked in the cards. Before you go, though, make sure to like this video to let me know you enjoyed it, and subscribe to Crispy Tavern so you don't miss any of our content. Make sure to hit that bell icon too. And finally, if you have any stories or thoughts, go down in the comments down below. If you can't think of a comment, leave the comment. What are you talking about? To let me know you made it to the end of the video. Hey, by the way, if you have your own horror stories, you can send them directly to us. There's an email down in the description down below. Send your stories our way for a chance to be featured in one of these videos. Even if you don't have any stories, in essence, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you all next time. Farewell.
Should probably go. Hey!